In Ironpeak, violence reigns supreme. A fortress that's been around for roughly 30 years, at war with multiple civilizations, has been fighting a bloodbath of a battle, back and forth, with almost no end in sight. Fighting with goblins and the closest elven civilization, all of them are at war with each other, and not to mention the agitated wildlife living in the vicinity around the outskirts of the fortress. Pits are full of bodies regularly. Shortast Lancepoint, the original expedition leader and now Duke, has over 500 kills on his own, holding the military to a high standard, ready to unleash bolts at the gates and trap any other unsuspecting survivors. The lava moats and the grand metropolis of the great capital of Ironpeak show the fortress's might, and no one will even dare threaten their walls, for their impenetrable force stands strong. The king disdains martial prowess, however, half of the fortress remains in active military duty. There's no other way to keep the fortress functioning or surviving. Ironpeak is a gold standard of how to withstand the battles of war against any invading goblin force. All the remaining dwarven fortresses in the world look to Ironpeak as something to strive for and something they one day hope to achieve. Hello everybody and welcome back to another Community Fortress. In this video we're going to be taking a look at the fortress called Ironpeak, sent in on the Discord by Kerdic. If you're new to this show and would like to send a fortress for me to have a look at, you can do that via my Discord server. There's a link down in the description below. In there's a room called the DF Save Sharing Room. Just kind of take a peek at what other people are doing and then maybe it'll pop up on this show in a month or so. Let's dive in. So this fortress is this kind of massive mess of violence. Right when I loaded the fortress up initially, there was a fight going on, and I had to kind of wait for the fight to finish up. Somehow the creator of this fortress has managed to make Mark's dwarves work. This is still completely lost on me. I have no idea how to make them work in this version. Some sort of conflicts between different ammunition types or something. I'm not sure exactly what they're doing here to make it work, so if they do see this video, if they could leave a comment, that would be rad. But frankly, we have this kind of outer area with kind of outer defense, and as you can see, if you're careful and you're looking up at the mini-map, this fortress is kind of huge, so it's going to probably take a little bit to go through. But let's just start off with the entrance, because that's the way that most people will enter the fort. So as we kind of scroll over here to the right, you can kind of see that there is a lot of gear on the ground and a lot of like vomit and blood out front, as well as many remains of unfortunate visitors. As we scroll over here to the right, you're going to kind of see that this is a very tall multi-layer area designed for dwarves to shoot down in. It's very, very, very well defended and super, super tall. I assume they must have started at the top by digging in here and then just slowly channeled it down, seeing as there is an iron wall there and then a gap. So I'm assuming they started from the top and then just slowly chiseled downwards, which is, you know, very effective method of building a defensive system like this. As we move over to the right, you can see that the armor just kind of keeps going. I would have built some sort of like minecart system blocked off by some sort of drawbridges or something so that I could easily transport all of this stuff out of here and to another location to then be melted down instead of just sitting here, because it's going to take a billion years to actually get rid of all of these items. As a backup measure, they do also have three engineers here that fire ballistas. They are legendary siege operators. I'm assuming they trained them using catapults. The bonus with catapults is catapults do not have friendly fire, whereas ballistas do. So if you want to train up your dwarves on firing siege equipment, it's best to use catapults and not ballistas. You'll get less accidental oopsies. As we kind of look around this edge here, there is much space for the military to fight and a bunch of military dwarves in the center here. This whole thing is a barracks, I would assume. Nope, not a barracks. It is just where they happen to be stationed at this time. There is, however, a barracks down here. And we can, of course, move up a layer and see the other barracks. So the barracks are kind of on this upper layer, and there are kind of above-ground walkways down to where the Marks dwarves shoot. Quite a cool little thing, frankly. Then we have a bunch of bedrooms that are all assigned to military dwarves, and we can keep going up to this kind of lava castle thing, which really, like... is just space for the dwarves to shoot arrows down, which really makes me excited for that AI rework that I've heard is apparently in the works. Down here we have this beautiful temple, and this space goes up one more layer up to here, which is just kind of covered in boulders for the time being. So we can move back down through here and then kind of go over to the main entry of the fort. As you can see, there is a bunch of levers here, which control all the hidden fun stuff in the fort. And then after you cross the steel bridge into the fortress, you can see this absolutely beautiful layout. So let's work over to the left first. So here we have a small tavern called the Gilded Diamond, as well as a collection of bedrooms, which I would assume are connected to the tavern, but I could be wrong. Yes, they are in fact connected to the tavern. If we do select the tavern and look at this, rented rooms, 9. So if you actually have dwarves in your fortress that are visitors, they will in fact take these rooms. So that's cool. And then over here we have the kitchens for this setup, as well as a little walkway here, which kind of goes from the kitchens down into here. And down in here we have our 2 powered millstones, which are powered by this little river underneath here, which water comes from up above, spilling down from over here, which comes from up here, which spills down from the other waterway here, which then comes from up here, which... you guessed it, comes from this, these pumps right here, I would assume. Unless there's water coming from elsewhere. Are these powered? Yes, they are. So we can move down all the way through here. No spoils for later. And you can see that the water is very clearly coming from, still moving, over here. Okay? So, did you get that? Water come over here, flow down into here, all the way along this little creek. All the way over here to this side, but not much gets past because it's all getting yoinked up by these 2 pumps, which is also powered by this huge selection of water wheels. It's one hell of a way to do it. I mean, frame rate's great on this fort. By the way, it runs at like 40, considering there's 216 population. That's pretty damn good. So no complaints there. We can then move up along this pump stack again, back to where it heads out of, and then we can follow this back down and then back down into here. So it's pretty safe to assume that all water that is being dispersed around this fort is coming from that creek. We can then follow this down here, back to where we were, and you can see that we have underground farming here, which is using irrigated farming soil, I would assume, which is growing a variety of things. This is mostly growing above ground crops right here, because there is glass up top. You could just use regular floor. You don't actually have to use glass. Glass is not like necessary for sun to go through. The game considers like solid floors to be sun passable. Over here we have a selection of well, very clearly giant rhinos. I don't actually know how you're feeding all of these in here, because I was under the impression that rhinos needed like an absolute absurd amount of food, and I've had problems with them starving to death with less than this. So I don't know how you're feeding them all on that tiny patch of grass, but Godspeed, I suppose. And then here we have a bajillion llamas and sheep, as well as some cattle, which is lovely to see. Up here we have a guild, which is the Leafy Grotto, which is a great name, and this is the Farmer Guild Hall. And then we can move back over to that main area that we were exploring earlier. So let's move over here to the left, shall we? We've got this long walkway that moves down into this housing district. Now, this housing district is constructed blocks in this hollowed out chamber. So we've got this entryway. Then we've got, if we go to the right over here, it moves down into kind of a upper housing district with these nicer bedrooms. And much bigger houses, as well as some workshops down in here with a well in the middle, and a trading depot filled with stuff for trading. Very, very, very well planned out, and very, very nice looking. I love these flesh balls. Like, everybody loves the flesh balls for their calming roundness, and very calming. That's that little flesh ball section there. And then over here we have just a statue of Shorthast, and then we have some bedrooms. Somebody really, really likes amulets and earrings and jewelry. And so we can move through here on this side, or we could back up and check out this central entryway. So this central entryway has this library, and we can move up through the library and see all the various levels on the library, which just kind of keeps going until it hits here. I guess that's where they started the construction of this thing, and I guess built around it by channeling down from the top. It's like one hell of a piece of work, that. And then over here we have even more bedrooms. This whole setup, though, instead of actually being bedrooms like I initially assumed, this is our hospital, which is pretty well stocked with just about everything you'd need. And also has the wells in the center, which are, of course, fed by that same water structure, and we can move forward. So this is kind of your central walkway, which connects the previous two that we talked about together. And the way you enter in is via these ramps up at the front, and then you can kind of scatter around. One thing I would have done if I was building a fort like this is I would have like wet some of the ground around here to have some trees growing in here just for, you know, a little bit of nature, I would say. Not that like, you know, you necessarily want above ground trees growing in here, but like some, you know, some cavern trees. I like the look of mushrooms in fortresses like this. And then we have these lovely little living spaces around here, I'm assuming for the furnace operators and metalsmiths. And down here we have this not quite full enough lava reservoir. I think 3 of 7 is enough to power them. I would want this to be like a steady 5. Like, this actually makes me a little nervous. I'd be scared that like something would cause it to slosh and then like you'd lose power and get a bunch of job cancellations, but does look beautiful. Of course, these bedrooms everywhere, and there's like little various guild halls kind of scattered around the place. Close by where the main works are. Here is where all of the stone cutting or masonry, whatever term you prefer, takes place. This is a space for making obsidian, so you pour a bunch of water into here, pour a bunch of lava down into here, and then dump the water on the lava. Pretty simple. Works very well, very effective. And then up here we have more bedrooms. It just kind of keeps going. Over here is the combat arena, which wasn't something I showed off in the preamble, but is something that was noted as one of the more prized possessions of this fortress. Essentially, you construct the cages in here, and then another way you could do it actually is from a layer above or 2 layers above with a hole, and then you throw set them to be pastured in that zone, which is kind of how I prefer to do this kind of thing. Set them to be pastured into there, and they will literally not pastured. You use a pit pond zone over a hole in the ground, and then set them to be thrown in, essentially, which is the way I like to do it. And I would do it with 2 combatants. Or alternatively, you can chain people up and all that jazz. And anyway, yeah, no, they've got Goblin Fight Pit, essentially. So shout outs to Fight Club. First rule of Fight Club is we don't talk about Fight Club. And of course, just for added excitement, there are spike traps that they can be knocked into, because who doesn't love a good spike trap? Up around the edges of this, we do have viewing positions. I will note that very, very few dwarves actually like watching violence. So unless they're already in the military and very used to it, if you were to actually tell them to sit here and socialize or whatever while there's fights going on, it would just scare them and you'd hurt your fortress's mood. So if you are going to build an arena like this, just be wary that like a lot of dwarves don't actually enjoy that kind of thing. As we continue to move around, over here is this beautiful set of offices, and this very schwanky like lava chamber that's not full enough, but it's for artifacts, obviously. And then up above here is our king, and the king sits right here. He's got 2 lovers and 1 child. I hope they stay alive. Is the child alive? I don't even know. Yeah, only daughter, doesn't live here. Well, there you go. Libash is, of course, the king of this fortress who's currently having meeting, which is why there's a diplomacy thing up there. And then, I wonder, are you part of the same faction? Diplomat, citizen of the disemboweled nightmares. Huh. Well, that is interesting. I was not expecting the dwarven traders to have that as their leader. Interesting world they've got here, that's for sure. There's various viewpoints, and these are multi-layered ceilings. These feel like they should have roofs on them, unless I'm going crazy. Yeah, no, these feel like they should have roofs on them. I'm not sure what those rooms are for. I guess like unfinished offices, but even that feels like it should have a roof on it. I don't know. But from there, this right here is the king's office, of course, and the king is not satisfied with much. I will note that when I first opened this screen up, the nobles screen, by hitting N on the keyboard, I actually got the tutorial pop up, meaning that the creator of this fortress hasn't used this screen yet, which I don't know how you're playing the video game without opening that screen, unless there's some sort of weird bug where it like resets. That's kind of crazy to me. In this central area, we have some ramps going down, and those ramps lead to these tombs. And then down here in the center is a malachite coffin, which is the king's coffin. Which is one of the few things the king is actually satisfied with. So work on satisfying that king, I would say. Over here we have some temples and a ton of little small coffin spaces. We can move up and move over to the left side of the fortress now. I love the little rainbow kitty room. I remember seeing this actually on my Discord. This is like daycare, basically, for the kids. I'm assuming they have their own burrow. Yeah, daycare burrow. So it's literally just for kids. I hope that the kids are allowed to leave to go get booze. Because otherwise, those are going to be some sad kids. But regardless, Lovely little kitty daycare area. I like these multi-floored bedrooms, especially for these bigger ones. These are for some barons, a couple of barons. This is a beautiful little setup here, like the kind of 4 stairs with the little bedrooms on either side. Very, very nice looking. I really, really like that layout. And once again, more calming flesh balls. And then all the way down here is, at the bottom, is a little well with more craft store shops around the edges and this kind of beautiful well structure. Now, I need to find the stairs that lead down, so bear with me for a second here. I've already, like, run through this fortress, but it's always kind of a challenge going through a fortress that you didn't build. So, there's our pump stack, which is the source of the lava, which goes all the way down to the lava sea, and this pump stack has a big thing written here that says not enough pressure, I guess, assuming that means that it's not actually able to pump up, because I guess they were originally trying to get the lava from this lava chute right here, but it didn't work out, so they instead then rerouted down to lower where it does work. So there you go. I would have like tripled up these pumps just to get more flow, but you know, you don't need to do that. I think that there's another stairway down somewhere. Let's see if we can find it. Although I could be going crazy. There's these spikes down here. Yeah, it looks like it's just that going down. So pretty much that's it for Ironpeak. This is one heck of a fort. Let's see if there's anything up that I've missed. I think there's a tower. Yeah, there's a tower on the surface that I would like to show you. We can move up. And this whole mountain, because this is the mountain biome, so it's just barren rock. But I think it's right here. Yeah, I remember seeing it. I've definitely found it. At least once. We've got this whole pumping setup, which is seemingly unfinished. Ah, there we go. This is it, I think. 2 stairs going up. Here it is. Yeah. Got this surface kind of, maybe original entrance? I don't even know, but this is a iron wall tower. Definitely some sort of defensive structure based on all of the, I guess, unfinished business there. But you got these little stairs that go all the way up to here that are then sealed off. And we've got a baroness who's worshiping in here because this is a temple which is dedicated to Datan. Of course it is. And then there's, of course, a mudstone bridge. I would replace that with iron or steel. Come on, you can do better than that. And overall, a beautiful fortress that runs surprisingly well, at least on my rig, considering the scale of it. And I absolutely love some of the designs you've got going on here. This is a gorgeous one. So thank you very much for sending this fortress into the show. And once again, if you would like to have a fortress shown on this show, simply send it in on my Discord, and I'll get to it when I get to it. And thank you very much to everybody who's done so thus far. And honestly, if you enjoy these videos and you'd like to see them continue, because I know I would, sending in fortresses is a great way to help with that. But also, right now you can see my patrons on the screen. An average video for me on this channel makes me about $1.50 to $5 on a good one. So generally, after about 40 minutes to an hour and a half of work on each video, any kind of support on the Patreon is greatly appreciated, or alternatively, picking up a piece of merch in my merch store, because I try and keep ads and sponsorships out of my content. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.